Good evening. I would like to call this City Council Community Redevelopment Agency Finance Authority meeting to order in September 6th at 6:45. I will defer to our city attorney for a report on closed session.
Thank you, Mr.
Please.
Mayor. Council met in closed session to discuss several closed session items. Item A1, Councilwoman Hurtado disqualified on that item due to her location of residence. On that item, direction was given, no reportable action was taken. Items A2 and A3 were discussed. Direction given, no reportable action. Item B, one case was removed. The other case, direction was given, no reportable action. Item D, one case was discussed, direction given, no reportable action taken, and the remainder of the items will be discussed after the open session meeting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Yes, I call to order in attendance. Please note the attendance. Erika, please. The Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to have Mr. Mayor Pro Tem lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second, we have a... Okay, let's call for the vote. Okay, motion carried. Okay, announce public comments. No public comments are welcome. The speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Please complete a speaker form prior to the start of the meeting. Is the item you wish to comment on is closed session item? Please comment now. If the item you wish to comment on is on the public portion of the agenda, we will take your comment when we get to the item on the agenda. Okay. Now, next item is general announcement. Okay, we have some requests for oral communication. We have here, the first one is Eduardo Garcia. Is Eduardo Garcia here? Oh, yes. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council and the public. My name is Eduardo Garcia, representative for State Senator Juan Vargas, and just wanted to introduce myself as well as my colleague, Rene Felix, who works here in the central office at 1224 State Street, and make ourselves available and accessible to any matters that pertain to constituents or to our local municipalities as well as the county. Myself and Jason Moore, the newest addition to the Senator's team, will be interfacing with the government entities, and Mr. Felix will be working on the ground with dealing with constituent services related to state matters. So I just wanted to introduce myself and welcome you to utilize our services. Again, our office is on 1224 State Avenue, Suite D. For those who are in the audience or watching the televised meeting on internet, our number is 760-335-3442. Muy buenas noches, mi nombre es Eduardo García, soy representante del senador Juan Vargas. Solo estoy aquí para dar la introducción. Mi colega está aquí a la mano derecha, René Félix, quien trabaja en la oficina del centro. La dirección es el 1224 Avenida State, en el Suite D. El número de teléfono es el 760-335-3442 para cualquier servicios que se necesiten relacionados al Estado. El señor Jason Moore es nueva adición del equipo del senador, y su servidor Eduardo también trabajando con los gobiernos locales y del condado. Y eso es todo. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, señor García. Okay, our second request for oral communication is Mike Davis.
afternoon, Council. Mike Davies, 933 6th Street. Real quick, mine isn't even going to take 3 minutes. I've been noticing that the conditions of the flags that represent the individual branches of the military are in deplorable conditions, and I was hoping that we could do something about that. Talking about 20, 25 bucks a flag. They shouldn't be in the condition that they're in. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Okay, our next request for oral communication is Sandra Thaler.
Good evening, members of the council and members of the audience. I'm Sandra Thaler, Community Services Director, and I want to extend an invitation to each and every one of you to participate in the fundraiser that we're having at the Calexico Carnegie Technology Center this Thursday. The program will be from 6 to 9. Tickets are $50, and all of the proceeds will be going to purchase new computer equipment for the Technology Center. We want to stay up to date and truly make it a technology center, and our computers are already 4 years old, so we need to update. The program will include, we're very proud to let you know that the building has been added to the National Register of Historic Buildings, so we will be unveiling the plaque that has been installed at the front of the building. We also did extensive fundraising before the building was restored, so we're putting up our donor wall and we'll be unveiling that at the program. And finally, one of the people who worked very, very hard to have the restoration of that building happen was Margarita de Necochea, who recently passed away. So we will be doing a memorial in honoring her and all her work. So I invite you to participate. It's this Thursday from 6 to 9. If you need a ticket, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next request for oral communication is Jung Kim. Will you please come to the podium?
Good evening, citizens of the Calexico and council members. My name is Jung Kim, 803 Hallbridge, Calexico. I'm here as a citizen individual to thanking for the major H communities about the several meetings. Finally, they made the decision to support safety of our children. And several meetings was disappointed, but now we are on the same page. And I believe our crossing guard person, they will do their job right to taking care of our children. And also, I believe our city council members will be same page as our citizens and especially our small citizens, which is children's safety is very important of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kim. Okay, our next request for oral communication, González María.
Good evening. My name is Maria Gonzalez, and I'm speaking in behalf of many businessmen here in Calexico that have money exchange businesses, and to let you know that all the banks here in Calexico are closing our accounts, even though we have been in business here in Calexico for more than 25 years. And the only explanation that they give us is that there is a risky business. So we don't understand how in 25 years they only saying that it's a risky business. Mm-hmm. We don't understand why we can work the same as we are doing. We have all the permits, city business, state business, FinCENS, IRS, everything, and the bank, they don't want us. All the banks here in Calexico are closing the Casa de Cambio accounts. and there's no one bank here in Calexico, not even in El Centro, that is opening new accounts. And there are more than 18 businesses that they supposed to be closed.
I have a question. City manager, there's something else that we as a city can do. Can we help them? Or
Well, I think it's a private matter because it's a private business.
Yeah.
And I know that the banks are downsizing. I know that BofA is laying off a lot of people. I know that Wells Fargo is laying off a lot of people. So I don't know if this is just one of their ways of cutting services. I don't know if we can, as a city, can do anything.
I understand what you're saying, but that's not the problem. The bank they only saying that it's a risky business, but they're not saying why, because we don't do anything risky. The IRS come to our business every year and check all the papers. We send all the papers. We have all the city business, state business. Every paper they ask us to have, we have it. So why is risky? We have been here for more than 25 years.
The banks are saying that the business you run is risky. And you're not asking for any money from the bank?
No, we have
You're just-
around.
You're exchanging the pesos to dollars?
Yes. And the problem is that we have the money from ourselves. We ask them to put a loan on our houses, or to ask for a collateral, or to give us a bond, and they don't want anything. They don't have any response that satisfies us.
Mr. Mayor, I know, if I may interrupt, I know that one of our staff members has worked at a bank before. Would it be out of the question to perhaps maybe have a meeting with her to see what avenues we can pursue, if any option?
I guess there's no harm in asking them, but I don't know that they have to give us an answer. It's a private business, so.
Well, yeah, but we have a staff member who worked at a bank who may not understand the intricacies of bank day-to-day operations.
Yeah. We can ask her. That was a while back when she worked at the bank. I guess there's no harm in calling the bank and asking, but, again, they're a private business. I don't know if there's much we can do if they tell us that's our business.
Exactly.
May I?
go ahead. Yes.
Are these exchange houses, do they participate in the association or membership, like the Chamber of Commerce, where they can talk to the banks or talk to anybody else?
No, some of us used to be members, but we have been having several problems from 10 years from now, and they don't give us an answer. So none of us are members of the chambers, because they don't really help us.
Well, in a situation like this, they would have been able to do something.
They went to talk to Hildy Carrillo, and she told us that there's no way that they can help us. The thing is, I want the public to know that many families from here that have been more than 25 years in business for no reason. For me, it's no reason. A cooperative saying that it's a risky business, for me, is no reason, because I have all my papers.
Clarification, you need to learn here. You said a certain amount of Casa de Cambios, right? Mm-hmm. Is this under one umbrella of ownership, or are these different? They're different? You're saying that all Casa de Cambios?
Like 9, there's 2 of them. There's Casa de Cambio Lee and Casa de Cambio Estrella, and there's another Casa de Cambio.
And the banks don't want to do business, or?
Terrazas, Verdugo.
So it would mean the total elimination of all Casa de
Yes.
Cambios on a border town?
Yes. And there's
very
more than
interesting.
20 families that depend on that business.
Well, if anything, you deserve an answer.
Yes, that's
You deserve an
my
answer.
question. A good answer, because risky business is not a good answer
If you don't get
for
an
me.
answer, then it's blacklisting. And that's not right.
Okay, it's
3 minutes.
Julia Osuna around here?
Thank you.
Is Julia Osuna? No? Well,
Thank you.
thank you, thank you. I believe we need to give direction to Julia Osuna, probably she and also to the city manager regarding this item. Okay. No en la agenda. Okay, the next request for oral communication, Oscar Gonzalez. Please come to the podium. Come forward.
Buenas noches, miembros del concilio y damas y caballeros. My name's Oscar Gonzalez. I live at 322 East, 6th Street in Calexico, and I have a complaint. I've been trying to get a hold of the chief since last Tuesday, and I've called him every day to this date to no avail. I spoke with Mr. Rodriguez late Friday, and he said if he didn't get a hold of him to speak with him, I know the city manager is very busy, and I called him late today, and I would like to urge Mr. Rodriguez to have the chief get a hold of me on a sensitive matter, ASP. Second item that I would like to talk about is a political issue that Mr. John Moreno and Mr. Danny Boy Romero regarding Hall of Fame consideration for Oscar Gonzalez. Mr. John Renison is here. He was our manager, Calexico football. He used to tape my legs since I was a freshman. And you can ask him if I wasn't Hall of Fame, not Hall of Fame, All Valley caliber. Maybe Luis, in his letter, may or may not have expressed himself. But I'll tell you one thing, what Mr. Castro did in that letter to the IV Press was criticized severely by John Moreno. He called Mike Charles, and I don't know who else, and convinced Mr. Romero to write a letter to Mr. Castro. You know, Mr. Moreno, Mr. Castro respects you. He's never said anything against you. He's a man of dignity and he's got credibility. Maybe he doesn't have a high school education, but he's got more common sense than you. You may have a degree, but he's a successful businessman. He's a human. The day after the article came out, you told me at Yum Yums that Luis didn't have a high school. What difference does it make, you know? He can still write letters. You said he was dumb, that he couldn't represent the city, some binational...
Mr. Point of order, that is all fabrication, and I would suggest that you finish the gavel. This has nothing to do with what's on the agenda.
Because you're a public official.
This has nothing to do with on the agenda, Mr. Castro.
Listen, you know what
This is all total fabrication.
Oscar. Mr. Gonzalez.
Shakespeare said that the truth is evil and this man is evil.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Mr. Castro, you don't do drugs or alcohol. And I know Mr. Moreno does.
Sí,
So
pero Mr. Gonzalez.
Oscar.
Mr. Gonzalez.
No personal accusations.
Mr. Gonzalez.
I want to close.
It's already past the 3
No, it
minutes.
doesn't matter, but I want to call him on the carpet. He
3 minutes are over.
He's a gringo.
Okay, the next request for oral communication is from Benny Horton. Will you please come to the podium, please? We need order, please. Oscar.
Mr. Mayor, distinguished members of the City Council. I don't know if I can meet what was up here before, but I'll try to. I left a pamphlet on your deal about the Boy Scouts. This is the tie-in to what we had in the last meeting where I said that I would come forth to give a small presentation about what we wanted to do with the National Guard Armory. And this is just a part of it. At this time, you can look through this, and I'm hoping that next meeting, I should say, not the next meeting, but October the 4th, I can be put on the agenda to give a presentation about the National Guard Armory to follow what we talked about earlier, and I think that I said I would do it, but I'm asking for the okay to do that. And it'll be something positive for the community, and the community can be proud of. And if there's any questions, I can answer it. And one of the things I might point out, and I learned this today in a meeting with people from San Diego, I didn't realize if you're an Eagle Scout, you qualify. If you qualify for Stanford, automatically you get a scholarship as an Eagle Scout. So I think that the Boy Scouts can give a lot of benefit. Plus, we're looking to tie in with the Girl Scouts and to do things a little different in the use of the National Guard Armory. I think the last discussion we had was about the use of it. Now I'm looking to do my option to give a presentation. Is there any questions so far?
I just got to say that this is a great program, Mr. Horton. I was once a Boy Scout, and I think we need to have this back in the city of Calexico.
And I would look forward to be given the opportunity to present a presentation. I'm asking for October the 4th, if that's feasible. If you want to, I can make a formal to the mayor, then he can see if he wants to put it on the agenda for October the 4th, if that's okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your time and your patience.
Okay. Our next request for oral communication is Martín Arellano.
Sí, buenas tardes a todos, especialmente a City Council Board. Voy a explicar esto en español para que entiendan algunos de los representantes que están aquí juntos con nosotros para dirigirnos al City Council y que nos den la oportunidad de inscribirnos en su próxima agenda para tratar el asunto que traemos por años de los carros que venden comida en los límites de Calexico High School y City of Calexico. Cada año se nos ha estado molestando de que nos movamos y de que han venido nuevos comerciantes y pues esto nos ha traído a nosotros gastos innecesarios de que hemos hecho por nuestras aseguranzas, nuestros permisos, fuentes de trabajo. Y pues no es fácil estar ahí 45 minutos en el calor ayudando a la comunidad de estudiantes que no salgan a los límites más fuera de lo que es la escuela para apoyar también a la ciudad y a Calexico High School de que no está capacitada totalmente para dar de comer a tantos estudiantes en estos tiempos. Es una fuente de trabajo que nosotros hemos buscado y que la ciudad de Calexico nos ha extendido permisos, business license, business permits, nos ha requerido licencias de otras agencias del gobierno como Health Department y Labor Commission y Workers' Comp y todo. Es un gasto también como comerciantes que estamos ocupando un espacio y estamos otorgando fuentes de trabajo a muchas personas que trabajan para nosotros y que ellos también contentos en cuidar a los estudiantes de esta ciudad de los límites que puedan ir más para allá, de encontrarse con gente que les ofrezca bebidas, licor o otro tipo de drogas, ¿verdad? Wow. Hemos estudiado esto con algunos maestros y con algunas dependencias de que las estadísticas muestran que desde que nosotros estamos en esos límites vendiendo a los estudiantes, atienden más a regresar a la escuela. Ese es un factor muy importante. El otro factor es de que los estudiantes se limitan a irse más allá de los límites de la escuela y se concentran cercas para regresar a tiempo. Y pues creo que también estamos aportando algo a la comunidad estudiantil, no nada más como comerciantes. Y pues que por muchos años lo hemos hecho, así como nos han requerido sacar licencias, como todo comerciante, queremos que nos respeten y queremos demostrarles que pues en una agenda, con un tiempo más amplio, todos nuestros permisos, licencias y aseguranzas y todo. No es fácil estar ahí en el sol, como les digo. Lo estamos haciendo con mucho gusto, estamos generando empleos y lo hacemos con mucha devoción y con mucho gusto. Eso es todo.
Señor Ariano, ¿nos puedes decir un poquito el detalle? Porque ahorita mencionaste de que te están molestando. ¿Puedes darnos un detalle que representa?
Bueno, cada año nos han estado pidiendo que nos retiremos de esa zona porque hay comerciantes que se quejan de nuestra actividad, puesto que dicen que les quitamos fuente de trabajo a ellos o que cada vez que se establece un comerciante va y se queja nuevamente porque no conoce nuestra naturaleza del negocio o del comercio que estamos haciendo nosotros. Entonces acuden a las autoridades de aquí de la ciudad de Calexico y la ciudad pues nos manda ordenanzas donde tenemos que limitarnos a no trabajar en esa área. Nosotros tenemos cartas, permisos de la ciudad donde nos han estado requiriendo y nos han estado obligando a pagar para poder trabajar en esta zona. No es mucho el tiempo que trabajamos, son 45 minutos, es la calle de la E. Belcher donde nos están localizando. Nos han dado la oportunidad otra vez de regresar a trabajar, pero queremos que esto no sea algo de cada año, de cada vez que venga un comerciante y se queje, porque cada año nos han estado molestando por lo mismo. Entonces tenemos ya cierto tiempo haciéndolo y digo, no ha habido ninguna queja de los estudiantes ni de los padres de familia, menos de los maestros. Entonces creo que esto viene de los comerciantes que se quejan de que porque los estudiantes no llegan hasta sus límites de trabajo, pues es que se vengan un ratito aquí afuera, ¿no? Para que sepan cómo se trabaja también afuera, no más adentro.
¿Se ha hecho peticiones con la escuela para que puedan estar en propiedad de ellos para poder vender esto? Entonces,
yo tengo una carta donde la administradora anterior, la señora Marlene Best.
No, yo digo con la escuela, no con la ciudad.
La escuela sí nos hizo, yo especialmente le hice la petición, cuando estuvo el señor John Moreno, le pusimos la cuestión y él encantado junto con el principal de ese momento, Mr. Barraza, nos dieron la autorización verbal y por escrito junto con la ciudad y nos hicieron unos permisos y limitaciones especiales que la ordenancia las marca que únicamente el city manager en ese momento lo puede hacer. Entonces estamos dentro de los reglamentos, pues, ¿verdad? No hemos hecho nada más allá de lo que no debemos de hacer. Se nos requieren otro tipo de aseguranzas y otro tipo de permisos, como lo mencioné, como el Health Department nos inspecciona las instalaciones y todo está bajo orden. Tenemos nuestras tarjetas de empleo, tenemos todo.
¿Este tema salió el año pasado o antepasado?
Pues este año salió otra vez a relucir.
No. Entiendo que...
¿Desde cuánto tiempo estamos?
Pero previamente...
Fue el antepasado.
Ok. Y una de las quejas de los dueños de restaurantes es que ustedes estaban vendiendo comida, pero no tenían las mismas condiciones o restricciones como un restaurante que está establecido, que ustedes mismos ya abrieron su propio restaurante.
Sí, eso fue para la petición de donde estábamos localizados durante otro tiempo exterior a la escuela. Pero ahora estamos ahorita a 45 minutos, que es lo que nos limita la autoridad del Health Department, ¿verdad? Y estamos también dentro de las limitaciones de sanidad, de que sí estamos vendiendo productos sanos, y estamos en la limitación donde nos pone la ciudad para poder estar haciendo nuestro trabajo, y en el tiempo indicado también.
Sí, porque es el mismo tema, porque él vendió tacos y él estaba vendiendo mariscos.
Nada más déjame preguntar una preguntita bien rapidito. Entonces, ¿dice usted que el que se le está llamando la atención es empleados de la ciudad?
Bueno, la petición viene del City Manager, ¿verdad? De Oscar Rodríguez, a través de las personas que están ejerciendo el orden. Nos dijeron que nos teníamos que quitar, después nos reinstalaron, ¿verdad? Y es ahorita donde quisiera pedir con la ayuda de todos los representantes que somos de ahí de las carretas de comida en esa área, pedir que nos abran un espacio en la agenda para poder traer cualquier documento o que el City Council nos apruebe ya definitivamente un tiempo definido o indefinido, o que no nos traigan cada año con esta cuestión.
Esto, básicamente, contestando su pregunta, señor Romero.
Sí, dices tu nombre, por favor.
Efraín Manríquez, 2166, Yo Acuña. Básicamente lo que se refiere Martín es que el día viernes 26, específicamente alrededor de las 12 del día, se presentó un code enforcement a los perímetros de la calle Belcher. Y sin darnos ningún documento escrito, simplemente llegó y dijo, a partir de lunes ya no pueden trabajar aquí. ¡Boom! Entonces todos nos quedamos en shock. Entonces, en ese momento pues nos movilizamos y hicimos lo que pudimos y de alguna manera pudimos trabajar el siguiente lunes. Entonces, de ahí en adelante se siguió presentando cada día un code enforcement para tratar de organizarnos en una de las aceras o de banquetas de la calle Belcher, que es la que está del lado sur, o sea, en la área de la biblioteca, y ahí hemos estado vendiendo, ¿verdad? Pero pues ha habido detallitos, por ejemplo, hoy pues se cierran las puertas y no nos dejan salir, y hay detallitos por ahí, ¿no? Entonces, simplemente aquí venimos a expresar y que quede verbalmente bajo documentado que pues estamos haciendo de su conocimiento, si es que no sabían lo que está sucediendo con nosotros. Esto no tiene que ver con ningún restaurante, son ice cream trucks, vending trucks, que simplemente dan servicio como decía Martín, a la high school. El permiso que nosotros pagamos es alrededor de $900, lo que cuesta el permiso para operar un carrito, lo cual es excesivamente caro. Si ustedes comparan un permiso de un establecimiento, estamos hablando de $200, $300. Ustedes no sé si sabían, pagamos $900 al año. Más aseguranzas de carro, más como decía Martín, otro tipo de requerimientos legales. Entonces, la ciudad de Calexico no ofrece mucho para vender. Es la high school la que nos da un poco de oportunidad para obtener un ingreso. Entonces, no entendemos por qué, después de lo que complementa Martín, estamos ofreciendo un servicio a la comunidad. Los muchachos no cruzan el 98 para ir al Jack in the Box, que todavía los ven atravesándose de vez en cuando por ahí. Y ahí estamos, ¿no? Y 45 a 117 grados, sin aire acondicionado. Y estamos apoyando a los muchachos, ¿no?
Sí.
Eso es básicamente lo que venimos, a expresar lo que está sucediendo. No sabemos si ustedes sabían del problema, pero a eso venimos.
Ok, gracias. Señor Martín y señor Arellano, le vamos a dar dirección we are going to give direction to city manager and city attorney to establish an city ordinance on this issue, or do you have any comments, city manager?
Yes, we currently do have an ordinance on file, and in fact, we had received some complaints from the commercial district in reference to what already has been said. And our plan, we have it before the Project Review Committee, and they are looking into, these are all the department heads, looking into what we should require based on this ordinance, because apparently the ordinance allows for approvals to be given by the city manager with certain conditions, but yet every approval of the letters that I've seen, the 3 letters that I've seen through 3 different city managers, have 3 different set of requirements. So our concern is, if we're going to allow it, to make sure everybody knows what the rules are, so we can all follow them, so we know exactly what has to be done. Our plan was to bring it up to the City Council at the meeting of the 20th, so that we could basically discuss it, dialogue it, debate it, and then the council could either say, we're going to continue with this policy, and then we would give you recommendations as to how we believe that we can make this policy stronger, so that we know what is required, and the merchants also know what is required, and the timeframes and certificates and so on. Or if the council so desires to then do away with the ordinance, then that's another thing. But we believe that at this time, it needs to come to council so that you can debate it, you can discuss it, and you can decide what to do, whether to continue with the policy or not continue with the policy. So that is our plan at this point. So actually, it's good timing that they're here. We will have the debate at the next meeting, and then the council can decide whether they want to continue with that policy, and if so, we'll make some recommendations as to how to strengthen the policy. And if the council decides not to follow with the policy, then obviously they have a decision to make. It's a policy decision.
Thank you, City Manager. Bueno, como ya escucharon, señora Arellano, señor Manríquez, los invitamos a ustedes y al resto de las personas que venden comida móvil para el día 20, City Manager?
Yes.
The 20th, right? Se
we-
va a hablar de las ordenanzas, si vamos a continuar con las ordenanzas antiguas o si vamos a anexar ordenanzas. Lo que queremos, realmente lo que estamos buscando es regularizar y que ustedes tengan la oportunidad de seguir vendiendo bajo las ordenanzas de la ciudad. No, yo no creo que ninguno de los que estamos aquí queremos afectarlos, pero sí tenemos que seguir las ordenanzas y prácticamente es lo que se va a trabajar.
Gracias por la invitación, por eso estamos aquí, para estar seguros de que ustedes como representantes de la comunidad pues están al pendiente y saben de la situación lo que está ocurriendo, ¿no? Yo pienso que así es como se deben de hacer las cosas, primero invitando y no tomando acción, ¿no? Primero reuniéndose las partes que conforman el problema, si es que existe, y después tomando una acción como la que ya nos ha sucedido.
Está bien, gracias.
Thank you.
Okay, our next request for oral communication, José Luis Ángel. Will you please come to the podium?
Honorable members of the council, Mr. Mayor, staff, Supervisor Ranison, members of the audience, good evening. My name is Jose Angel. I'm the Assistant Executive Officer for the State Water Quality Control Board. Ironically, I'm here today. I'm supposed to be in New Mexico, but I want to share with you some of the concerns we have about the implementation of AB 1079. As a way of background, if you recall, our parent agency awarded the city $400,000 because at that time, the Prop 84 money was not available for you to fund the strategic plan that was supposed to be developed by Cali EPA. We structured a contract with the city. There were some delays, in my opinion, not necessarily that had to do anything with the city. So we supported an amendment, an extension to the contract. The contract expires this month. And at the rate we're going, this project is likely to be extended more because now there seems to be some delays that I really believe they don't come to your level, because every time I come before you, when an item has been brought to your attention regarding New River, you have been very supportive and voted on the affirmative to continue with the planning effort. We were supposed to have an item on this agenda that basically was going to extend the professional services of one of their subcontractors that are assisting us to complete the strategic plan. I just met with the city manager several weeks ago to outline some of the concerns that I had, and I happen to believe that he's trying to do the right thing, but again, I'm just at a loss of words. What's the problem? Why we keep being bumped off the agenda? You spoke very loud and clear. You made this project a priority, and it's a priority for us. We gave our commitment to our Secretary for Environmental Protection to see the project on time. We are a partner to you, and we just don't feel that there has been a level of reciprocity that advances the project in a smooth fashion. We have problems with paying our vendors on time. For whatever reason, the invoices at the staff level do not get processed on a timely basis. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't exercise due diligence or your fiduciary responsibility to make sure that the invoices are correct. I really don't know what the problem is. I understand the city manager is trying to do the right thing. But something is happening internally. I urge you to look into it. I can give you more specifics, but I have shared my concerns with the city manager. I also have the opportunity to share the concerns with your liaison for the Calexico River Committee. I just want you to look into it. We're bringing guests next week, about 30 people from out of state and the state, to have a workshop, a symposium, so we can vet some of the key elements of the strategic plan. There's some vendors involved, and I can tell you, I really don't like to get calls from our vendors that we're not getting paid. I look at your mission statement, and I'm pretty sure that's not the level of service you want the staff to provide to your customers and the people that you serve. It's not the kind of service we like to provide either. And I'm dealing with the complaints because I'm the one that oversees the grant at my level. So whatever it is, I just urge you to look into it because this thing is not going very well. And we're going to be very reluctant to continue to extend again the grant. It is September, the grant expires in September. We were bumped off the agenda. I don't know what happens. I mean, I rely on the people and the contacts you give me. I don't know what the internal processes are. I understand the city manager believes the staff was not following the processes. That's all I have to go by, your contacts. I don't know what the inside rules are, nor do I want to know. But again, I'm sorry that I have to come to you with this concern, but it's a legitimate concern. If we cannot deal effectively with $400,000, do you think we're going to be able to deal more effectively if there's more money appropriated for the cleanup? We're quite frankly very reluctant to continue to support this project because we feel that we've been doing it alone. We expected to have a partner, and I wish I could tell you you would be there. You are there. But we expected the same thing from the staff. And I'm just very disappointed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
City Manager, can you respond to that?
Yeah, I'll respond. With all due respect to Mr. Angel, we did meet the other day, and we did talk about the concerns. And there is some issues internally that we have to take care of. There are certain guidelines that need to be followed and regulations that need to be followed when there's payments made, when there's contracts that are going to be executed. We could probably do a better job in moving them forward, but there are certain procedures that we have to follow, and like I said, we did meet, and so we are in the process of making sure the staff understands what those procedures are so that they follow them and they try to move the process along. Thank you.
Councilman Hodge, do you want to say something?
Well, both sides have legitimate concerns. I respect what you said, City Manager. I don't want us to lose this partnership, and I don't want this movement to falter. Do you see any problems here?
Well, I don't think any of us want to lose the grant, and there's been some movements and some there's been some movements on staff, as you know, staffing, but I think everybody on staff, and that's my job to make sure staff understands the procedures that need to be followed when paying a bill, when putting items on the agenda. I try to make sure that when items come to you on the agenda, that they're fully reviewed and that they're appropriate so that you can take action on them. And if an item is not reviewed and is not ready to be put on the agenda, then obviously it will not be put on the agenda. We want to make sure that you get a complete packet, and that's not only falls on my shoulders, but obviously the staff, to make sure that they run it through the proper processes to make sure. So we're aware of that. We have heard the concerns. We have met with the gentleman, and so we are addressing those issues.
Okay. City Manager, how old are these invoices?
I don't know if there's specific invoices they're talking about, but
Less than 30 days?
I don't
More
know.
than 30 days? More than 60 days?
I don't know, but there's a process that needs to go through, and the department head needs to get all the backup. The department head needs to make sure that it's properly put together so it can go through finance, so finance can review them and document them and then pay them. So it's not like we're just going to write a check the minute we get an invoice.
No, I understand that, but at the very least, if the person or persons that are involved in this thing within staff, if they can't give the necessary information, furnish the information, then some more, I don't know, a little bit of aggressive method should be handled?
Correct.
Staff member?
And that's what I'm saying. We just met, I want to say last week, if not the week before that, so we're aware of the concerns. These concerns have been brought up, so we are going to correct these concerns wherever we need to correct them.
Excuse me, I don't want to belabor the point. I'll give you an example so you know what, if you detect a sense of frustration, you can see why. We hire an engineering firm to prepare a technical report that has to deal with disinfecting the river. That report was completed in May. The invoice was submitted shortly thereafter, I'm going to say at the end of May. The contractor, it took, I think he got paid probably 3 months afterwards. I'm not suggesting, with all due respect, that you shouldn't exercise your due diligence, but something is happening internally where the left hand, it seems to me, is not communicating with the right hand. And while one department, I think several departments need to sign off on an invoice. I can understand that, but it seems to me that there's no follow-through as a matter of priority to see the invoice through. And it may get stuck in one department for unknown reasons. But if you don't think 3 months is excessive, I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. No more questions? Any comments? No? Okay, we will now move on to general comment by the city council members, and I'll start on my left with Mr. Hodge. Do you have any comments, Mr. Hodge?
A few citizens over a period of time have approached me. It's regarding a chain link fence on the north side of Cole Road, right before E. Rivera, across from Kiki Camarera Junior High. It's a chain link fence, and parents are asking, why can't we take it apart and put a gate there so that the school children can go there? Supposedly, they're having to walk all the way around if they don't have a ride. I know they're responsible to get on school on time, but unless there's a strong argument not to do that, can we do that?
I believe if I'm thinking of the same location that you're talking, I'll let Nick Finley talk about it. It's a safety issue,
chain link, yeah.
if I remember correctly.
Yes, you're talking about the site of Emil Hashem Street. Basically, that's an uncompleted street. It's a safety issue as to the Caltrans never allowed the right-of-way to continue out into Highway 98.
Right.
And that was one of the conditions that we had to block off that area. One, there is no sidewalk for the kids to walk on. They would have to be crossing on dirt property, and if it rains, it'd get full of mud. And it's more of a safety issue due to the fact that we want them to use the crosswalks and use the sidewalks. So we understand the concern of these kids having to walk, a little few block down, but it's more of a safety factor. When I talked to the chief, he agreed on it. He says, you know what, just go ahead and I had to do is we had a wooden fence. They kept knocking it down. So that's why we went up and we put a chain link fence. It's more of a safety issue, yes. It's an inconvenience to the parents, maybe a little more, or to the kids because they have to walk a little bit further. But I'd rather have them walk a little further and not get run over by a car.
I agree with you, Mr. Finley.
Okay.
Anything, Chief? Yeah. Just
Mr.
communicate
Hodge, I
that.
realize it's a good point for the parents in the area, but one of the kids who go to the school are not the issue. The problem is it's a residential area, and we'd hate for a small child or toddler to wander out on the Highway 98. And so it's an unfortunate issue, but I can't think of an alternative to it.
Okay, I agree. Another issue, I don't know, I have these people coming to me about
Excuse me. Mr. Kim, do you want to talk about the same issue?
This is city council comments. I think this is public comment.
Mr. Mayor, can I talk?
Okay.
It's regarding the same issue?
Yes.
Okay, go for it.
I believe almost end of the last school years, the parents was complaining at the city school board, and I believe at that time Mr. Romero and Mr. Rodriguez was there at the meeting, And when the parents was complaining, those Mr. Romero and Mr. Rodriguez was compensating that one, and people thought they were taking care of it. That time the door gate was kind of loosened, and after they complained, the gate was strongly locked. It's just like against the parents' wishes, they've been locked at that door, and parents went to there to take the picture. I have a pictures, children's over fencing, just almost dropping down to the street. I was going to bring this issue to the next meeting, and I believe if the safety issues, I don't know how many boat blocks are going to be needed, or at least put some grass or whatever, not the condition as muddy, so we can use it to open the gate to the children can go easy access to go to the school. Instead, our city, just right ago, one of the gentlemen was saying is they've been completed 3 months, and then they're not doing anything. As a city or school, we our purpose is serving the community, and not authorizing the community. And the action we've been taken to the door has locked it, was authorizing to the community. I believe the city has to have some kind of easy access to kids to go easy to school. Thank you.
Mr. Kim, are you talking about the same door that Mr. Finley said that it should not be open?
Yes, yes.
But for safety purposes, they said it should not be open, and you want it to be open?
That was he was the majorly he was saying is the muddy is not the safety to go.
He said it was a safety issue. So you want the children of Calexico to be able to go through that gate and be in jeopardy of being in an accident?
No, I just want to open the gate.
We don't want her to open the gate.
Okay, the city doesn't want to open the gate.
For safety reasons, he doesn't want to open
And
the
I think
gate.
there's a legality,
safety reason is just like muddy.
There's a legality because that is Caltrans property, is it not? And we are not allowed to put an easement on Caltrans property. So I think this point is moot. And I did get complaints too, like Mr. Hodge, and I did follow up with calls to Mr. Finley and Mr. Castro, and that's the information I got. And I think we should leave well enough alone and have those kids walk where there's safety, and because safety is first.
That's correct.
And there is no sidewalk there, so I think this point is moot, and I think we should move on.
Thank you.
Okay, another one.
Another one.
Supposedly, a citizen came up to me, and forgive me, I can't remember if it's between Heber and Blair on Ethel or Blair and Encinas. There's a street light out for over 2 years. Can we check into that? Thank you. Just want to thank all the hard work of the Sports Summit Committee. I attended the last meeting, and we are moving forward, and you're going to be pleased about the outcome and what's coming forward. So thank you very much, Sandra Toller and everybody else involved there. That's it.
Mr. Moreno, do you have any comments?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I would like to try to avoid these outbursts by Mr. Gonzalez at our meetings. If anything that is on the agenda and he needs to discuss, I think he needs to stick to the subject. His outbursts right now defame various characters of the city council members and people of the community. And if he's going to be allowed to do this, I think that we should silence him, because he's turning this city council into a circus, and we want to avoid that totally. I'm not very happy with his remarks, and I would hope that in the future he retract from defaming any character of any individual in this City Hall chamber and use the proper decorum and stick with the issue, if that is okay with you. Thank you. You understand what I'm talking about? Thank you. Also, I'd like to look at some of the downtown things going on, and one of those is the Cool Down in our town, which is this Saturday. I applaud the Business Improvement District, who's working diligently on providing a festival, fun-filled day in downtown Calexico. I've seen some progress being made on the Kavanaugh building, which was next to the old T.C. Worthy Cash and Carry, and I see that they're working on that, and I'm just hoping that they'll be working closely with the Franklin's building, which is in the middle of 2nd Street, and also we've got the corner of Heffernan and 2nd, which is the old the Garcia building where JCPenney is. That looks really nice. They spruced that up pretty good, and across Caddy Corner, which is the Second and Heffron, where the Clear Talk is. So congratulations on the hard work that they're doing there. Also, I noticed, piggybacking on Mr. Davis's comment on the flags, the water in the memorial is turned off. Have we paid the bill? So maybe we can get that back on. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Moreno. Councilwoman Hurtado, do you have any comments?
Yes, I actually would like to agree with Mr. Moreno that the meetings that we have here at City Council and the experiences that I've had have been, I would say, the majority professional, and I don't appreciate those outbursts myself either, because I am here to conduct business for the city, and I do appreciate my time as well. And so if we can focus on business, I think that that's much better for everyone here involved, especially when we do have women and children here once in a while. That behavior basically, I would say, is uncalled for. So besides that, I was also going to ask about the Sports Summit. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there, so I thank you for having been there. I had another event and I wasn't able to attend, but thank you, Sandra, for all that hard work. We're finally seeing something happening there, and I will contact you for more details. Thursday, you have the Technology Center fundraiser, but also there's another event for the MANA of Imperial Valley, which is the Mexican-American women's organization that works to better the lives of women, and they're going to be having the presentation of our persons who have going to be awarded this year, and our local Norma Aguilar, which is not here, I saw her earlier, she will be the person to be awarded this year, and they'll be presenting them to the media on Thursday. So besides going over to the event at the Carnegie, we'll be jumping over to Applebee's after that for the presentation. The other item actually that I wanted to ask was that today in lunchtime we had a presentation at the Amigos Senior Citizen Group at the Community Center, and during that meeting I was asked a question, and I believe that Mr. Rodriguez, you'll be able to answer this question, is when Chelsea finalizes the new building for Dianza, I believe it's called Dianza 2, they were concerned, they were interested in knowing the application process for those apartments, because of course their concern is that first priority be given to those residents of the city of Calexico with a need for better housing. So they were just a little concerned about that, so I'd make sure I'd ask you that question, and of course let the public know when we come to that day and that there is ready to go, what would be the application process. Okay. And besides that, I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hurtado. Mayor Pro Tem Romero, do you have any comments?
Yes, I do. Number one, the comments that were raised earlier, I would wish that they get their facts right before they make any kind of comments like that, as far as disrespect to this council. City Manager, I spoke to you briefly, on a previous council meeting regarding Cole Road. If you could, maybe at the next council meeting, give us an update what's going on with that. That is between Rockwood and around Martin Luther King. Piggyback on that, are there any plans for downtown, the 2nd Street and 1st Street? And I think those are two streets that need some serious attention. Parking code enforcers, probably is something that I guess I'll communicate later with you, Chief. Maybe there was some information that was shared and maybe it's not complete. I don't know who was supporting Major at the Major Shoe Shine stand. I was informed that he has deceased. I don't know if it's accurate or not. Lieutenant Chalo, do you know anything about that? I frequented there, and it has been closed for a very long time. And I forget who, somebody mentioned to me that the person might have deceased. If somebody can get some more information on it, and also in regards to what we're going to do with the stand there.
You know, Mr. Romero, I believe that he was close with the Customs Border Protection agents who built that stand for him or who provided the funds so that he could build a stand. So maybe they may have information. Luis Cota, yes.
All right. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next item is consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move or pull item number 6.
Number 6. Some other item.
I'm sorry. I apologize. What was that? Consent agenda?
We are in consent agenda.
Was there a motion?
No, I mean, not yet. I mean, if you want to pull some item or you want to make it. Mr. Bielach, do you want to pull any item? Any consent agenda item?
If there's nothing to pull, a motion
Mr. Hurtado? No?
Mr.?
Okay. Miss, I'm sorry. Okay, I like to pull item 3. Okay, so...
Mr. Mayor, motion to approve items 1, 2, 4, 5, and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 4, 5, 7.
7.
Who pulled 6?
Also?
Who pulled 6?
I pulled 6, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you.
So, it's also includes 7, right?
Yes.
Temporary service. Oh, I like to pull item 7 too. I'm sorry. Moreno?
I can rescind my motion and make it to approve items 1, 2, 4, 5.
Second.
Okay. Second, we have a motion, we have a second. Let's call for the vote. Okay. Okay. Motion carry 5-0. Okay, Mr. Moreno, I believe item 6.
Yes, I believe that this was the purchase of 2 fire engines, and I would like to find out, I'm not sure whether or not, maybe I made a mistake, but was this not to be the purchase over a 10-year period of time, or was it a 5-year period of time?
I believe the motion said that it would be a $100,000 payment a year. Didn't specify how much time, up to 10 years.
Oh.
So when we worked it out at $100,000 a year, then it basically gets paid off in about 5 years. It's a little over 100,000.
Okay.
I remember, I believe that's what I remember. Erica, is that what the minutes read?
So this particular payment installment plan is economically feasible and better in the best interest of the city? Or is it just...
Well, you know, they have the right to recommend up to 10 years. You have the right to do 10 years if you'd like. The issue always becomes, you know, do you need more money today to continue to fund other projects? Obviously, right. If we were to do a 10-year, then instead of paying 100 and some odd thousand per vehicle, we'd probably be paying something like 60,000 per vehicle, therefore allowing for more money every year.
Right, because this Measure H funds.
Correct. But given that the motion was 100,000 per year, up to 10 years, when we worked out the calculation, it actually works out at around 5 years. It's a little over 100,000 per year.
Okay.
So it's at your discretion.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, motion to approve item 7.
Second.
I think you're talking about item 6, right?
I'm sorry, item 6, thank you.
And I
Madam
just
City
want to
Attorney.
specify, there is a reso included in the agenda packet, so by approval, you're awarding the bid, authorizing the city manager to execute the purchase agreement, and approving the resolution that's part of the agenda item, just for the record.
Yes, that will be my motion.
Okay,
There's a second.
okay, we have a motion, we have a second, let's call for the vote.
No juegues, hombre.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay. The motion carry 5-0. Okay, next item is number 3. Approve claim reaction Buen Rostro vs. City of Calexico. No, you know what? I choose the wrong item. What can I do?
Well, I can motion to approve that item.
Okay, no problem.
Motion to approve item 3?
Okay, we have a second on that? Second, okay, we have a second, we have a motion, we have a second. Let's call for the vote. Number 3. Okay. Motion carried. In City Attorney, I would like to pull number 4. I confused from 3 to 4. Can we continue on this? I don't know.
If the council agrees, I believe that
What
would
do you
be
think about that?
appropriate.
Yeah, that's fine. I would
That's fine?
rescind my motion, and then instead of pulling item, instead of adding 4 to the original consent, then we'd pull item 4 at this point, if that's okay.
We can just say that you're going to reconsider item 4.
Reconsider item 4.
Okay.
That'll probably look
Everybody-
cleaner.
Yes? Okay. Okay, item number 4 is approved claim rejection, Ernestina Vidal, Viesirio, Calexico. Okay, City Manager, do you have any information about this item, or?
Well, I'm looking at the file, but I'm not so sure that I really understand it. Maybe, Chief, you can help us out with what the violation was?
Yeah. It has to do with the towing of a vehicle. We refunded the tow fees for the vehicle from the city, but we neglected to work out a deal as far as the amount that she had to pay actually to the tow company. And so the claim is actually for the amount of the tow company. We're trying to find out what the actual amount is. We haven't been able to find that. Is that part of the claim? Okay.
Yes.
But I would suggest to the city to go ahead and reject it, but we're taking care of it.
Okay, you're talking about the storage with the towing company? Or
Yes.
So you guys gonna take care of that?
Yes.
Assuming that the council gives authorization to do that, well, our insurance people are recommending denial, and we hire them to do these things, so it's very difficult to go against them. But if you so desire, I mean, I think you should uphold the denial. Whether or not you decide that you want to pay it on the city's tab, then that's something else. But we hire these people, our insurance carriers and adjusters, to do this for us, and they're recommending denial.
You know, I think City Attorney can I call the Ernestina Vidal to hear so I can hear the situation about this issue, or?
Well, the
We can
situation
do
is,
that,
when a claim is submitted to the city, it is automatically forwarded to our insurance adjuster. If they pick up the claim, that means if any settlement is to occur, they pay it. If the city decides they want to take a different approach, then it's not going to be covered by our insurance company. So I think that's the concern, is that our insurance company has said reject it, and we only have a short time period to reject claims. And then the insurance adjuster has probably already contacted the chief. They contact the city to try to figure out, should they settle it or should they go farther on it. So, at this point, it's in the hands of our insurance company. If you want to take it in the hands of the city or hear more information, then we may be in a situation where we've taken it out of the hands of our insurance company, and then it's on the city.
I would suggest that we allow the rejection and then let the adjusters get a hold of our people, our personnel, to find out if in fact it's something we should settle or not. If they decide that we shouldn't settle it on their coin, then maybe you want to take it up.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, City Manager. Well, so we need to we need a motion to approve that, right?
Yes.
So moved.
So moved. We have a motion. We have a second. Let's call for the vote.
Yes.
Number 4. Yes. Okay. Okay, motion carry 5-0. Okay, next item. Number 7. Yes, I have a question on this. I like to know what's the difference if the city of Calexico employ so many employees for 1,000 hours. What's the difference, the hourly rate that the city of Calexico are going to pay for that? Instead, give the contract to Hunter Employment Service. I like to know what's the hourly difference. Can city manager, can you explain that?
I don't know that I have the calculation. The biggest advantage is that we cut the liability. So if something was to happen to the employee, it's all carried by the contracting employer. So I'm not so sure that the difference in the benefits is that great, but it's more the liability issue that you cut it. So if they were to get injured or whatever, it's not on the city's tab. But we can get you a calculation if you'd like a calculation. HR, I don't know if they have a calculation, but we just haven't had a chance to work it out. But I think the biggest advantage is if you have a workman's comp claim, it doesn't go against the city. They take it.
But like you said, we don't have any calculation right now, right?
No, we can work it out. It's going to be similar. I mean, a lot of the benefits, in fact, I think we have more benefits than probably the contracting agency. But again, we may in fact, it may cost us more, not much more. I'm not going to say a lot more. But again, the biggest advantage is the issue that if something happens, and I've gone through this before, where somebody almost severed their finger and they took it over. It had nothing to do, the city didn't have to pay anything. They automatically took it up under their coverage.
Okay, well, we need to vote on item 7. There's any motion on this?
Motion approved, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Second, we have a second. Let's call for the vote. That's okay. Motion carry 5-0. Next item, public hearing. Okay, we are going to start with public hearing at 7:55. And
would you like a brief on this, Mayor, before we go into the?
I'm sorry.
Would you like a little summary on
Yes,
this before we go
please?
into? Okay, I'll just give you a quick summary, and then maybe Mr. Finley wants to give you additional information. This is basically a requirement under the Water Conservation Bill of 2009, which requires agencies to move forward and to do a review of what the next 20 years will hold as far as the ability to provide water services to the consumers. I think the only thing that I would point out, among other things that also obviously provides for, but I think the one important thing that sticks out in my mind in this whole document is on page 10 of 133, where it says purpose. And it says the purpose of this report is to review the overall supply and demand of water for the city of Calexico, identify any possible deficiencies in the water supply for the next 20 years, 2010 to 2030. There is no foreseeable water shortage in the city of Calexico for the next 20 years. The city of Calexico uses Colorado River water that can supply the city with sufficient water to meet all projected demand. Okay. Thus, the city is not affected by climatic-related supply shortages. I think that's the good news in this report. Mr. Finley, would you like to add anything before we go to public hearing?
Yeah, just a little quick synopsis. It's a requirement. The purpose of the Urban Water Management Plan is a report of the overall supply and demand of water to the city of Calexico, such as water deliveries, supply sources, efficient uses, implementation of strategy schedules for the next 20 years. This is a requirement under the bill, like City Manager Rodriguez said, Bill 2009, requiring the urban water suppliers to report daily per capita use, and the targeted amounts were being set in their goals, objectives, policies in order to carry out effective and equitable water conservation programs. The bottom line is the implementation of the Urban Water Management Plan is meant to assure that the water resources are conserved, utilized as efficiently as possible to provide for long-term viability and availability for this precious resource. With that said, the opening of the public hearing is being requested so we can get input from the public. Any questions? Our consultant is here if you'd like to hear from him. He is here available today. Or if you'd like to go ahead and open the public hearing and hear the pros and cons, so do so.
Any comment from the City Council? No? Okay, at this time, I would like to open to the public hearing. I'll take comments from those in favor in adopting for authorize and direction staff to file the 2010 Urban Water Management Plan with the California Department of Water Resources. Someone in favor of this item? Okay, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Oscar Gonzalez. I hope I'm not censoring what I say right now. You know, I understand what some of the councilmen expressed, but it's my constitutional civil rights that I have a First Amendment. And on this issue right now, I just want to ask Mr. Finley, do we have any input from an engineer regarding, you know, this water plan? It seems to me that independent of that, I know Mr. Finley is not an engineer. He may have written the report, but I'm just curious if any engineer amalgamated with the city had input into this. As a private citizen, I would like to know. Mr. Finley?
Yes, it was. Dynamic Engineering is here available. David Dale from Dynamic Engineering. He's the one that prepared the report.
Before I say well on the floor again,
Okay.
This report is required by the state of California, okay? So that's why we hired this company. This is Mr. David Dale, and if you have any technical questions, you can ask him, okay?
I want to hear from the engineer.
Will you please come to the floor, to the podium? Would you please?
Good evening, Council and Mr. Mayor. Appreciate this opportunity. My name is David Dale, Dynamic Consulting Engineers out of Imperial, California. I'm a professional engineer and a professional land surveyor. I've prepared the Urban Water Management 2010 update for the city of Calexico. I also prepared the urban water management plans for the other local cities and water purveyors in the valley. So I'm very familiar with the water issues, and I provided all of the recommendations that are in the report. The important thing that the city has to know about this document is that the state of California is requiring some water conservation measures to be put into place, and those water conservation measures will cost the city in implementing those. So hopefully that you've been you've read this document very clearly, because those requirements are in some cases pretty tough to implement. But they are required by the state of California to implement these measures. Now, that being said, they're requiring an annual daily per capita water use, and we have to calculate that. So we calculate that based on the water that is pumped into the system in 2010 divided by the estimated population in the city of Calexico. So we do that over the last 10 years, and we've seen a decline in the water use, especially over the last 3 years. So at the moment, with the regulations, the city of Calexico is already in compliance with the 2020 austerity measures for the city of Calexico. And so we calculated, they have several different methods on calculating the water requirements per person. In 2010, that was 143 gallons per day per person in the city of Calexico. The 2020 requirements that we calculated for the city of Calexico will be 172, so it's actually more than what the city used in 2010, although part of that we believe is due to the economy. So there are some conservation measures in this document. Now, the Department of Water Resources will also be reviewing this document, and they may have comments. If they have any comments, we will respond to those comments and update the document as required. Are there any questions that I could answer?
No questions? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I believe no questions. Okay, and I'll now take the comment from those not in favor of adopting and authorizing and direction staff to file the 2010 Urban Water Management Plan with the California Department of Water Resources. So anyone else not in favor? Since that there is none, we will close the public hearing at 8:05 p.m. and bring back to the council any comment, question, or motion. Do you have any question? No question? No question? All right. Do you have question, Mayor?
No, I just I shared my concern with city manager, and there was a report that came out that there would be some kind of shortage in water coming down the mountains in the next few years, but your report accounts for it, so I'm fine.
Any comments?
Well, I just want to say it made for interesting reading, as water is a precious resource in the state of California, and there was a lot of information. But I guess we're on the path for conservation, and we're on the path for using the water wisely. I know we have some excellent people working in our water department, so I just congratulate them. Thank you for the report.
Okay, let's call for the vote. We have any motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second, we have a motion approved by Moreno and second by Bill Hash. Let's call for the vote.
Con cariño.
Ahí está, con cariño. Okay, motion carry 5-0. We're moving to business item. Direction on selection of option to funding of Calexico DIA program for fiscal year 2011 to fiscal year 2012. City Manager Rodriguez, I will defer to you and Mr. Friendly for background information.
Well, today we're asking you, we're giving you a lot of information, and so we're not expecting you to make a decision tonight. We just basically want to present to you what the situation is. And the situation is that, as so many of our programs, whether they're federal or state, the different agencies are cutting back on funding. And this is no exception. When you read the memo, I'm sure you noticed that fiscal year 2008-2009, we were receiving $441,000, and then in this year, 2009-2010, it went down to $429,000, and this year we're estimated to receive $351,000. So we have to make adjustments to the program, and there's only really two methods or a combination of those methods that we can utilize. One is we increase the fare box, increase the amount that the clients are paying when they utilize, I shouldn't say patients, the clients, when they utilize the service. Or two, we cut down on the service time, the services being provided, the level of services being provided, whether it be less amount of buses or shortening down on the time frame. Or three, a combination of both, either raising fares and lowering the service levels. And we have to do this because we have to obviously be in compliance. And so we don't have to do this tonight. So tonight we're coming to you to basically provide information to you so that you get a chance to study it and look at it. We've provided you with a number of options. There may be some options that you may think of that are not even in our report. So we are open to any and all options. We're going to give you information tonight so you can sleep on it and think about it, and we'll be back to you requesting that you take action on it. But tonight, again, we just want to give you information that you can absorb it, and maybe even between tonight and the time that we bring it up for action, if you have some ideas on some options that you want us to consider, certainly let me know, and we'll revise the report so that we can bring it back to you for actual action. With that said, Mr. Finley will give you a little more details on the report itself and the numbers and where they're coming from so that you have a chance to look at this. And again, we'll be back at a further date in order for your request that you take action. I mean, obviously, if tonight you're happy and you want to take some action, that's available too. But we realize that we're hitting you with a lot of information, a lot of numbers, and so we wanted to come to you earlier in the game and provide you this information before you had to make a decision.
Thank you, City Manager. Mr. Nick Finley.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Once again, Nick Finley, General Services Director. What we try to do is provide you with as much information as we thought possible for you guys to make a right decision. And like the City Manager said, we're not asking you to make a decision now, but to go over the options that we've come up with as a staff. But we're also looking at maybe some of the options that you may, our ideas have. We try to provide you as much information as we could in the backup. The cost of doing business, of course, has gone up just like everything else has gone up. The only thing is the total cost for the dial ride program, the fuel, and the administrative costs, you're looking at $402,151 for this coming year. However, the available funds to us through the ITCC, which is the TDA, we got $285,906, getting 2% out of the LTA, which is our local transportation authority, which is money that we use for road repair. We're hoping to maybe get $30,000. We were only able to get $20,000 this year. And then keeping the fare box cost as is, so that we don't put a bigger impact in the service providers, I mean the service riders, that we kept it at $1. So we know the economy's bad; they can't afford that extra money. So we figured, well, the total cost, the revenue available is only going to be $351,007. Well, we end up with a difference of close to almost $48,000. So how do we make up that difference in the cost and in our revenues? Well, the only thing we could come up with were these options that we're providing to you in the backup. It's you have a total of 6 options that we have come up with either different options as to cutting services, because we're the only city in the valley that provides service 7 days a week. Most of the valley cities provide 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. They don't offer the service on weekends. We're the only city in the valley that does that. So we gave you options as to keeping the 7-day service, keeping the hours of service, which are 9 hours per bus per day. There's 3 buses Monday through Friday, and of course there's 1 bus on Saturdays and Sundays. Well, in order to keep that service, we would have to increase the fare box share by 50 cents. And that's a pretty chunk of change to a senior citizen that is on a modified income. Yes.
Excuse me, Nick. So you're talking about right now we are charging $1 for senior, right?
Correct.
And you're talking about 50 cents to increase 50 cents more?
That's part of the options we have given you. That's a decision we would like for you to make. Our recommendation to the council is going with option 3, which is actually reducing the service by 1 hour a day. So instead of being 9 hours a day, it'll only be 8. Mm-hmm. Okay, and not providing service on Sundays. In order to keep the fare box share at $1, but yet being able us to have enough savings to cover the lack of revenues.
And we are going to continue with $1 for
correct
senior, right?
Correct. And that's why we gave you these options, and we made our recommendation as to which one we thought was fair. But we're leaving it up to you. We're trying to provide you as much information to you guys make the decision as to where you want to head with it. I wish I had other money that we could put into it, but we don't. You know, the state's cutting back. Everything's being cut back, so our funding is being cut at this time.
Excuse me. There is some other major or some other account that we can get the money to help this kind of
It's our street
transit
money.
service?
It's our street money. It's the street money, and if you take street money, well, that means I'm going to patch less potholes, I'm going to repair less sidewalks, I'm going to do less overlays and stuff like that. So you need to steal from somebody
street
else.
money, that's mean Measure D or?
No, Measure D cannot be used for this.
Okay,
This is our
Measure
local
D.
transit gas tax money.
Okay, now I got it. And
Yeah,
so
Measure
the other account you mentioned is LTA, that's Local
Right.
Transportation
Local transit
Authority?
that's our local transit money. That's our gas tax that you pay at the pump and stuff like that.
Okay,
that the state
Mr.
collects and is provided.
Bill Hatch, City Council Bill Hatch, do you have
Mr.
any
Finley,
question?
I don't want to really compare about the other cities. You know, you said that they only provide services 5 days a week. I don't really want to hurt the senior citizens here. Can't we really possibly consider option 7, which is finding some way to keep it as it is, shifting money around or making a little sacrifice someplace else? I don't want to hurt the senior citizens. They usually, along with children and single women and working people, they carry the brunt of this hard economy.
One of the other things, Mr. Hodges, to provide you a little bit more information, we're also looking into consolidating the Dial-A-Ride program.
I'm sorry.
We're looking into consolidating the Dial-A-Ride program with the rest of the valley and making one Dial-A-Ride program for the whole valley. However, once that decision is made, we won't have that control that you're asking. So it's got its pros and it's got its cons in order to control the cost. So like I tell you, the only way is trying to find funding from either our
Well, I strongly urge you to really consider that option 7, finding money someplace else so that we keep it as it is for our senior citizens.
And that's what we try. We try to come up with as many options as we could. We try to come up as many options as we can in order to,
and I appreciate
not
that.
to steal from Peter to pay Paul and reduce our services
but in this
elsewhere.
case, it's the senior citizens.
Right. So.
How
Okay.
real quick question.
Yes.
How busy are the Sunday services?
They're pretty busy. They're just like Saturdays, if not a little bit more. So I mean, the program is being used
On Sundays, then?
Would there be another, considering the elimination of a day, would there be another day that would be best eliminated when the revenues are down?
Well, we could conduct a survey and find out what the lowest day is. You know, whether it's on a Wednesday or Thursday or what's the least used day. But as you can see in the backup, the passengers, I mean, just this past year, on weekdays, they had a whole total of 5, sorry. On Saturday, you had a usage of 3,269. On Sunday, you had a usage of 2,801. So it's not a whole lot of difference between Saturday and Sundays.
And what are the peak hours of use?
The peak hours are anywhere from 7 to 5, because I guess it depends on if they need to get to a doctor's appointment or whatever it may be, and that's why we provide that service, because sometimes they have an appointment at 8 o'clock, so they have to be up and ready by 7:30 in order to get to their appointment at 8.
Which says that this is an extremely vital service for them.
So, okay. So we're here asking for your direction, and we'll try to provide you as much
response. Have we put it out to the senior citizens, what option they would like or what they feel?
We haven't, but that's probably not a bad idea. You know, we can certainly address them at one of their meetings.
If it's going to be on them and they understand there has to be a sacrifice, maybe we should hear from them as to which way they would go, the majority of them.
That's probably not a bad idea.
More or less service.
Yeah, and then the other thing we can probably check out is, it was mentioned the peak hours. Does it make sense if the hours are in the morning or in the afternoon?
Yeah.
And maybe we have, a lag time in the middle to make up the difference. Yeah, that's a possibility.
Councilman Moreno just stated is some type of survey to get out there. They have that right. It's going to affect them, so they have a right to give their voice on this matter.
Yeah, we can also ask the service provider to conduct the survey themselves, since they pick up these people and drop them off instead of, so that way they touch the actual user and we're not, getting information from other people that don't use the service. I think that'd probably be, a better suggestion.
Mr. City Manager, excuse me for interrupting.
No, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Manager, are we under a strict timeline to either approve or not approve this, or can we
We've
get
got some
information?
time. I don't know if we're able to lock in on what time that is.
I believe it's October, so.
We got a little bit of time.
I can provide a better date for you.
We can do a 2-week survey on bus ridership and see what their thoughts are.
Okay.
But let's not give up on option 7. No change at all.
Option 8 was Councilman Hodge was going to write us a check. Did I hear that?
If I have to drive the bus, I'll do it on the weekends.
$10,000 a piece.
Okay, we have a request from Oscar Gonzalez.
Senior citizen. I'm a senior, I use closer 5 times a month, to and back. I like Mr. This hospital. They only seem 50 cents, and I think the city needs to do the service. Don't leave it up to the provider. I think we need to go to neighborhood house, Casa Alegre, and anybody when they have a public speak. I agree with you. He needs to get up to the mic. They're coming up with 3 or 4 options. I like your option. Because,
He's
I'm on Social Security. I'm glad I want to get my retirement next year. 25 years teaching and 10 years as a bureaucrat. I only make $810 every month. You put $5, I don't know. And then I smoke. I shouldn't be smoking. That's very expensive. The bottom line is that senior supplemental. I used to make $1,300 at state time, zero for me. I only make $810, but I'm glad I've got children are educated and they take care of that. And so, but the bottom line, even if it is, let the city make a survey,
Mr. Mayor, I would like to table this item and bring it back next week once we've got more information as far as the survey is concerned. I'm sorry, Mr. Gonzalez, I agree with you on this one. I agree with you. And I just want to keep the meeting moving.
okay.
Can I say one thing? Before you take one? The last 7 pages, I saw the backup material. I don't understand. Mr. Bindi, he's got superfluous information. I'm educated. I was in the planning commission 17 years. I don't even know why he attached that. He should have labeled them tables. ABCD or 7 tables. They have no relationship. And if they do, he doesn't explain it in one outline paragraph. No analysis or examination. So yes, we need to table it. Mr. Gandy, either Oscar, because you're responsible, make sure that your department head, there's available information, that they have a report. It's only an outline of it, and the introduction, it's an examination, evaluation, examination.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, for your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno.
Okay, next item, item number 10, action on recommendation by 2010 General Tax Citizen Oversight Advisory Committee to award a 1-year grant to fund the school crossing guard program for fiscal year 2011 through 2012 by Measure H funds for an amount not to exceed $175,000.
Mayor, additional information on this is that the Measure H Committee met today and ratified their minutes in reference to this.
I didn't get it, I'm sorry,
Today. They met
Mayor.
today.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
City Manager.
Measure H Committee met today and ratified this action on their minutes.
So now it's up.
Okay, item 11.
good
We have
to
to
vote.
vote.
So we need to vote on that.
Yes, it comes to us.
All right, okay, let's call for the vote. There is a motion?
My motion.
Second.
Second, we have a motion by Councilman Bill Hash, second by Moreno. Let's call for the vote. Romero, perdón. City Manager, will you please look for someone to fix this button?
He's having problems with his button.
I won't go there. We'll fix it.
It was working when I was there.
Really?
Hold it down.
Despacito,
Con cariño.
con cariño.
You got to baby it. We'll be here for the next 2 hours?
You know, no, something's wrong with his button.
There you go.
Quítate el tapón.
Needs a
Okay,
gentle touch.
motion carry 5-0. Item number 11, appointment of administration hearing officer. Okay, I call for that appointment. So I would like to appoint Francisco Sanchez for as administrator hearing officer. Francisco Sanchez. He's working for Sheriff's Department. Number 12, appointment of Financial Advisory Committee member by Mayor Castro. I would like to appoint Mr. Eddie Higuera for Financial Advisory Committee Board. Number 13, appointment of Recreation Commissioner by Councilman Bill Hatch.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to appoint Manny Hernandez.
Manny Hernandez. Is
Parks
Manny
and
Hernandez
Recreation Commission.
is here? Nope.
No.
Okay. Okay. Future agenda items. I'm going to start to my left with Councilman Bill Hatch.
Okay, number one. City Manager, I would like to request that the Financial Advisory Board, along with Economic Development Commission, give a presentation for our next upcoming meeting regarding the Maximus studies, specifically dealing with business licenses, developer fees. Just like to hear some report about all the wonderful work that they're doing, where they're at this point in time, and what do we have to look forward to, what changes, and so forth. Brought up, most likely about a month ago, an issue about the taxi meters. I'd like to have direction given to Chief Nujar to submit an informational item for our next meeting regarding the taxi meters. Areas about how are they going to be prepared, how much will the fare be, can the current fare be reduced, if at all, what's our responsibility, and so forth.
That's it? Sorry.
If you permit me, I think I have. Also, I don't know if it belongs on future agenda items, and maybe this was at the very beginning, but can we move along now the application process and the planning for the youth, the junior council that I proposed a little while back? Is that the proper wording for it? Junior City Council. I was told that there are some young people that are interested, so if we can get that in place. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Bill Hatch. Councilman Moreno, do you have any future agenda?
You know,
items?
Mr. Mayor, I've submitted some items before, and I don't have a recollection of the items I submitted. So I know you did send me an email, and did I respond as to when they should be put on the agenda? Okay. Could you please? Thank you. I haven't gotten received information on the items I brought up at the last time. So I'll just wait till I get that information from her. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Moreno. Councilwoman Marisa Hurtado, do you have any future agenda items?
No, it's just that question with regard to the applications for the Chelsea, but I guess that won't be an item, actually, just get an answer from Mr. Rodriguez. And I likewise also probably have a few items that I've requested in the past, and so basically you're working on them, I guess.
That's it?
That's it.
Mayor Pro Tem Romero, any future agenda items?
I have nothing, Mayor.
Nothing, okay.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Okay, I believe it at 8:30, city adjourn.
We do need to go back to closed session.
Oh, we need to go back, I'm sorry. We need to go back anyway.
We'll adjourn to closed session.
Okay.
Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Gonzalez better not be